What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of NFL Turf Talk. I'm your host at Scotty Drown. You can find me on all social media platforms at Scotty Drown. And I am here with my co-host, Dylan Davis. You can find him at Dylan JD98.
There we go.
I'm hungover. Let's get ahead of this now. I'm a little hungover here. Dylan JD98, my co-host. As you know, Turf Talk presented to you by DSM Media. You can find us on all social media platforms. But the most important, hit that subscribe button on YouTube. We're building our following there, building the community, and we are up over 700. And we're actually getting subscribers every day, so it's a great feeling to know we're growing like that. Getting up to we're at 710 now. So the next big goal, 800, obviously. And then eventually 1K is the mark, you know, where we finally get to that threshold of monetization, and then we get to bring better content, right? So the more we grow, the better the content and the better the show. So hit that subscribe button, comment, get involved with the show. We already got some comments going here. D-Rab, let's go. Yeah, it's NFL playoffs. I mean, what's there not to be excited about? Dylan, we're going to break down all of it today, obviously, but how are you feeling on this Saturday morning? I told you I'm hungover. I had a big night last night. Got friends in town. My girl is going wedding dress shopping, so me and the boys got a little rowdy last night, and this is where I'm at. But how are you feeling, man?
I'm good, man. Happy wild card weekend. I'm out of my element. So Scotty's hungover. I'm a little hungover. I'm on my phone, bad angle. I can't see any comments, so hungover Scotty's on comment duty today.
Yep.
It's a mess to start, but at least the conversation should be good and fun. We're going to get into our best bets, our predictions, locks, and upsets for this wild card weekend. It's odd. It feels slightly boring, but I don't love the slate. You have a lot of injuries, so I look at Miami and Buffalo. I look at Cincinnati and Baltimore, two of the more exciting matchups this weekend. Get kind of taken down a couple notches with no Tua and no Lamar Jackson. Those game spreads double digits, right? Maybe not too competitive. You got, we're starting off with San Fran and Seattle, bad weather. Maybe that allows Seattle to hang around a little longer.
That's what I'm hoping.
That's about a 10-point spread as well. So I don't love the level of competition starting out wild card weekend, but who knows? Maybe we'll see some crazy things to start the playoffs.
Just on that point, just to start here, I mean, is that because of the expanded playoff scenario, or is it just injury? Is it as simple as, teams just getting decimated? Maybe it's the extra game, right? Maybe that's part of the problem too. But it does just seem like a lot of disparity between the teams this weekend.
It's probably a mix of both. I think when you look in the AFC, if Tua was healthy, if he didn't have his third concussion and wasn't ruled out, right? I think that Buffalo-Miami game could potentially be the game of the weekend. Right? Interdivision rivals, they split 1-1 on the season. Miami's explosive offense versus Josh Allen. So the expanded playoffs good in that sense if he was healthy. You look in the NFC, Seattle, San Fran, again, NFC West battle. Who knows what can happen? But I think we discussed it a couple weeks ago. I don't love the idea of the expanded playoffs because it's just it's not competitive. You look at our Eagles last year, right? It was great that we got in. It's another fan base that gets to root for their team. Maybe for one more weekend of the season, you might get beat by 45. That's the problem, right? But again, you never know. Any given Sunday, in this case, any given Saturday, we'll see. But no, I don't love the expanded playoff because I don't think it brings too much competition to the weekend. It's this, right? It's all about money.
It's money. Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you there. And you talk about the Seattle team. I don't know. I mean, we can start right there. It's the first game of the weekend, right? Seattle at San Francisco. As you mentioned, it's about a 9.5. It's gone anywhere from 9 points to 10 points as far as the spread in San Francisco's favor in this game. Looking at this game, I'm looking at Seattle, man, and the one thing you pointed out already, the weather. That's the one thing that kind of it's the benefit of doubt, I guess, with the Seattle Seahawks, because otherwise, I'm looking at this team and I just think I would think that they're going to get smacked by the San Francisco 49ers. We just saw it a few weeks ago. Obviously, it was in Seattle. I don't think it was as far spread as this game line is right now, but they're in San Fran, right? Brock Purdy's a little more comfortable at home. I don't know that the weather kind of evens the score for me, but still, you look at who's the more physical team, who could play better
Yeah,
in like
so
rain or the monsoon, right?
I agree with you, because I think that's where people's minds go to first, right? When you have such a large gap between the two teams, talent wise, you would think bad weather, being able to slow the game down, maybe less scoring can keep it tight, can keep it close, right?
Yeah,
What does San Fran do extremely well? Run the football. What does San Fran also do extremely well? Stop the run. So to me,
yeah,
does it benefit Seattle to have to run Kenneth Walker over and over again against this defensive front instead of trying to utilize DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, who have been able to maybe not expose but exploit a little bit the San Fran
yeah,
secondary. If you can't do that, I don't see a way in which Seattle runs the ball down San Fran's throat.
yeah,
I could see a lot of 3 and outs, a lot of quick possessions.
yeah,
You talk, and then look at San Fran, right? CMC, Elijah Mitchell, Debo comes back. What do they do a lot with Debo?
yep.
Use him out of the backfield running the ball. So people think the weather might benefit Seattle. I think it might go the opposite way
Yeah, yeah, I tend to agree with you. It feels like that may even the score, so maybe to
because
where
it's not
San
high
Francisco's
scoring, right?
offense, right? It's not high scoring, and they can't just blow the doors off of the field, right, and throw the
It's
ball.
24-6.
But
Like,
with San Fran's offense, it is like you said. It feels like everything, if they need it to be, everything can be short. Like you can do short screens to George Kittle, you can do screens to Debo Samuel, you can do slants to Brandon Ayuk all day. Like everything can be short. CMC can be moved over to the slot, do slants through the middle with him, get him on linebackers. So as I was initially thinking, like maybe the spread isn't as favorable for the San Francisco 49. Maybe it actually is more favorable with the weather conditions, because I do agree with everything you said there. How are we feeling about Brock Purdy, man? In his first playoff game, like obviously, he's going against Pete Carroll. Got my mom comments in here. Thanks for tuning in, mom. Uh, said Pete Carroll is the coach and he's seen Purdy before. Does that factor in at all? Do you look at Pete Carroll and think like maybe he's a coaching mastermind that can kind of get in here and maybe
yeah.
surprise some people, or maybe Brock Purdy isn't what everybody says he is. I don't know. I don't fully believe in Brock Purdy yet, but maybe this is a game. Maybe the playoffs can get me over on the other side.
So again, I'm going to bring it back to weather here, and I think people can misconstrue what this means for. But it all comes back to what position Kyle Shanahan puts Brock Purdy in today. When you look at this weather
True.
factor, I think it could largely benefit the young quarterback, right? Because when
Yeah.
you're talking about the quick hitters, when you're talking about the playmakers around him, running the ball down Seattle's throat, if you limit putting him in a position where he has to stretch the field in bad weather or throw over the middle or script, whatever the case may be, the less opportunities he has to make a mistake, the better in this case in this weather
Yeah.
situation. So I'm with you. I'm not bought into Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah.
Scotty, I don't think anybody's bought into Mr. Irrelevant. People just love a good story, and it's
Yeah.
cool and it's fun.
Yeah.
But in terms of winning a championship or whatever, I'm with you. Like he's shown a flash here or there, but
Yeah.
I think his mistakes can be limited today potentially. If Shanahan decides to run the ball, like you said, slants to Ayuk, slants to
Yeah.
CMC, bubble screens. So I don't think he really has a bad game, but we might have an interesting little player prop later on in the show for you
Yeah.
guys with him. So
For sure. For sure. Brock Purdy is interesting, man. He's 5-0 as a starter. I believe 4-0, 5-0, something of the sort. They've won 10 straight. I mean, it looks like the offense has been better with him, but my only thing with Brock Purdy and being in the playoffs, he just hasn't seen adversity yet. And I know part of
right,
that is because they have been able to beat teams by double digits. Like there's no adversity in that, right? You're just beating teams by a lot. Um, I just worry when it gets down into a tight moment. What does Brock Purdy look like? We saw Gardner Minshew, for instance, right?
mm,
He played well that entire Cowboys game in Dallas, but you get to the end of the game, gets happy feet, he's dancing in the pocket, doesn't know where he's going with the football. That's what I'm saying. Whenever pressure gets put up to the fullest extent, which at some point in the playoffs it always does. That's why the playoffs bring out the best players. And
Mhm.
that's where I'm at with Brock Purdy. Eventually the heat is going to be turned up, and I'm wondering if he's going to be able to take it. So at the end of the day, he was drafted last. Like they
Right.
call him Mr. Irrelevant, like he was drafted last. There's
Right.
reasons for that.
And
Like
and and
there are reasons for that.
by the way, Tom Brady's don't grow on trees, people. So to make the comparison, let's not do all that.
Let's
But
stop.
I will say
Let's
this
stop.
to wrap up this game and get into our
Yeah.
predictions. I will say I'm going with San Fran, but I think San Fran needs to cover. Not I'm not talking in terms of style points. Or anything. I don't. The longer San Fran allows Seattle to hang around in this game, if it's a 4-point game, 3-point game, 5-point game with
Mhm.
5 minutes left, what you just hit the nail right on the head with Brock Purdy, right? We
Yeah.
don't know what he's capable of late in the game. Can he ice a game? Can he go down for a game-winning drive in bad weather? So I think San Fran needs this one comfortably to not,
Yeah.
like I said, put him in those situations to make mistakes. But ultimately, I think they do, dude. I don't see any way Seattle's able to move the ball effectively multiple times throughout this game. I think San Fran's going to be able to let CMC off the leash today. Maybe Debo has a welcome back party. It's at home, like you said, in the Bay. I'm going with San Fran, and I'm also going to take San Fran to cover in this one too.
I got one more question for you regarding this game, and
Yeah.
it's regarding Seattle, and you may have already answered it, but if they were like, if you're Seattle coming into this game against San Fran, this is the third time you played them, you lost both of the previous matchups this season. Do you just take the training wheels off today and let Geno go? Like, do you just come out loose and just put it all out on the field, right? Even with the weather, you still go out. You have DK Metcalf versus Charvarius Ward. Do you let them go at it? Tyler Lockett, obviously the weapons on the outside. Or do you play it more safe and just hope that you can win between the margins and kind of just don't turn the ball over and maybe win that way and keep it low scoring? Like, how would you play it if you're Seattle? Would you come out there in full attack mode, aggressiveness, or would you be more on the, no risk side of things?
I think you have to, right? And I'll use the word cautiously aggressive. Like I said,
Yeah.
like you just said, I mean, turnovers. You don't want
Yeah.
to let Geno off that leash and have Geno, throwing a pick over the middle of the field, getting strip sacked by Nick Bosa, whatever the case may be. That's where this game can get out of hand. So you want to be cautiously aggressive. You don't want to just push all your chips to the middle of the table in the first quarter and hope that things go your way. But you're not going to beat the San Francisco team by holding your talent back, by being conservative today. When you're the 7 seed versus the 2 on the road, such a disparity in talent, you can't afford to be conservative. It's never going to
Yeah.
work out in your favor. So, cautiously aggressive, I would say, in terms of the play calling for Seattle today.
Yeah, I like it. That's exactly where I'm at. You have to come out and try some things, right, against San Francisco in that defense. You can't just come out and run yourself into a wall the whole game, right? You have to try some different things. So I'm with you. I'm trying to think if I think San Fran's going to cover. I do. I think they're going to cover at home. I think the weather doesn't. While Seattle might come out aggressive, like I said, and maybe throw the ball a little bit more than regular, I still don't see them covering the spread. Honestly, that San Fran's just too good. They're better, right? They're just better.
I agree.
The defense. You just have to ask yourself, how are they going to score points, man? They've what?
Like, is there a world in which Seattle scores more than 13 today?
That's what I'm saying. They have one touchdown in 20 possessions versus San Francisco this season. And you know what I mean? That speaks for itself. They just haven't been able to put it in. Yeah, in good weather and in no rain, no monsoon. So it just doesn't feel right? And I know there's some people out there that want Seattle to play well and want this to be a good game. I just don't feel it. And quite honestly, Dylan, I'll take it a step further. I have Seattle like in my playoff power rankings. They're the last team on my power rankings, and I quite honestly don't feel like they deserve to be there. I would love to see the Detroit Lions playing today against the 49ers, quite honestly.
Me too. And even I know you and I were down on them and down on him as of late, but I would have rather at least seen Green Bay as well. Like you have
absolutely.
Rodgers versus San Fran story, the NFC Championship rematch from last year. Just more talent, right, than Seattle. That's crazy to say considering one's in, one's not, but I would ultimately say, even though they underperformed this year, Green Bay has more talent than Seattle.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree. We all want a competitive football game to kick off Wild Card Weekend. I just don't know that we're going to get it. But you know what we can get, Scotty? Money. And there's money to be made in this game. So before we move on, we have our best
Absolutely.
bets for tonight's matchup. We're going 3 with each game tonight. First of which, it's boosted on DraftKings plus $150 max. Christian McCaffrey, anytime touchdown scorer. If you don't boost it, I believe it's minus 140, minus 145 to not put a cap on your wager. But I love CMC to get in the end zone tonight. The ball's going to be on the ground. I just feel like this is a game where they really unleash him in bad weather. He's a total mismatch for Seattle's defense. So CMC anytime touchdown score. Number
Love
2, we have Brock Purdy. Anytime interception. This is the one with the juice, right? This is plus, what was this, Scotty? Plus 118?
Plus 112. Plus 112.
Plus 112
so that's carrying
for Brock
the
Purdy
juice.
throw pick. Right. And then also last, we have the under in this game for all the reasons that we laid out. Even if San Fran goes out and wins this game by 25, it could be 30-6. It could be 30-10.
Yeah.
I don't know if either team score. I don't know if San Fran's even getting to 30 themselves. I like the under in this one. And those are our 3 best bets for this San Fran Seattle matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. I love all of them. Obviously, CMC, that's like a no-brainer. If you can get him in plus money for a touchdown,
Right.
take it. He's playing with Brock Purdy. They're going to put the ball in his hands. When it comes to the under, you already spoke on that. Under 42, I think it was on DraftKings. Under 42.5 on FanDuel. Nonetheless, the Seahawks just aren't going to be able to put up enough points to get to that over. So that's the main thing there. And then Brock Purdy, he's thrown an interception in 2 of his last 3 games. So you look at all of that, plus playoff pressure, plus the monsoon. Why not throw a turnover in there?
Maybe a little tip ball at the line of scrimmage.
Give yourself some juice. Exactly. Give yourself some juice. Have a little bit of luck today.
It's more of our fun one of the 3, right? We gave you the under. We're going to give you a boosted touchdown score, but Purdy, if you want a competitive game, if you're an Eagles fan and you'd rather not play San Fran's defense, you want to root for a turnover or 2. So Brock Purdy interception today. I like it, man. But anyway, next up.
Yes, sir.
And Jacksonville. Where does your mind go here? I know we spoke on it earlier in the week. I think we agreed we were on the same page that Brandon Staley versus Doug Peterson. That's what it ultimately comes down to for me tonight, man.
Yeah, that's ultimately what it comes down to, and where I have made my decision, because up until this show, I told you I really didn't know who to pick. Like talent, it's the Chargers, right? They got the receivers, Mike Williams out, which Brandon Staley, once again, what the hell are you doing last week? That's a whole other convo, but nonetheless, that's a whole other convo, but that's part of what we're talking about here. You look at the Chargers, the better quarterback, I would say Justin Herbert. I would take Justin Herbert over Trevor Lawrence. You look at the running backs, right? Eckler, it's a Pro Bowl, all-pro running back that they have in their backfield. You have Keenan Allen. He's, an all-pro wide receiver, one of the best in the game. So you go to the defensive side, you have a Bosa brother, you have Derwin James back there in the secondary. So they have all the talent. They have the stars, right? But then you go over to Jacksonville, and it's what it is for me is the fundamentals and the pedigree and Doug Peterson and coaching. It's the coaching, and that's what I think this game ultimately is going to come down to. I think it is going to be close. The line is at minus 1.5 for LA Chargers. I think it moved to 2.5 for the Chargers. Yeah, so I think Chargers are favored by 2.5 points right now. I think it's going to be close. I do think it will, kind of be that close with the points, but I think it's going to come down to a coaching decision or a game plan. I think we could see Brandon Staley come out here and just throw the ball 50 to 60 times today and just do it for no reason, right? Just throw away the run game. We've seen it happen. Whereas Doug Peterson, we've watched him in the playoffs. We know what he does in crunch time. We've seen it even during this last stretch where they've won 6 of 7 games to finish out the season. So I don't know. Everything is pointing to the Jags here, although the line favors the Chargers. So I don't know. How are you feeling?
I want to take you back to a conversation we had a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we talked about this LA Chargers team, and you just mentioned, you laid out all the talent on both sides of the football.
Yeah.
Potentially a top 5 young quarterback in this game with that arm. Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, right? Derwin James, Joey Bosa, all those
Yep.
guys. And you know who's not boring? You know who's not going to be conservative tonight? You know who's going to go for it on 4th and 1, 4th and 2 when
That's
a
it.
play needs to be made? Doug Peterson and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, I don't mean boring for style points. Doesn't matter. You get this win 12-10. It does not matter how you advance. My point is that team, and it comes back to the coach, like I said, that team is far too talented to be this boring. They're not fun to watch. They're boring offensively. They're not explosive. They give up big plays defensively. I'm going to try my best impression here, Scotty. Upset alert tonight. It is my upset of the weekend. I have one from Monday night, but we're not talking about that game tonight. The Jacksonville Jaguars are going to win outright over the LA Chargers at home. I know one's the 4 seed, one's the 5 seed home field. The Chargers are the more talented team on paper, right? I like the Jags tonight. Maybe it's a homer pick because of Dougie P, but I'm going with the Jags in the upset outright tonight.
I mean, part of it is Homer. It's a little biased, right? Because we know Doug Peterson. Like that's part of it, right? But the fact that we know Doug Peterson, we know Brandon Staley too, right? We've been high on this Chargers team. We've been through the ranks with them, right?
I picked them to go to the freaking Super Bowl.
In and out of our power rankings all season, right? Like we've been basing them off potential. But my one thing here is, why is there talk about your head coach possibly being let go, but you just made the playoffs? That alone lets you know there is a problem there in LA with the Chargers. And it starts with Brandon Staley, and it's exactly what you said. It's not like carelessness, right? Not risk in that way, not exciting in that way, but just willing to take that risk of what it takes to win a playoff game. And Doug Peterson knows what that is. Brandon Staley doesn't even know what that is, right? What that extra umph is, or what that extra risk is to get you over that hump. Doug Peterson's been there before, right?
I love that you bring that up, and not even just in the playoffs. I'll take you back to regular season. Like I know this is a strong word. I hate him as a play caller, and what he has to me, Scotty, he has no feel for the game. Now, who the hell am I? I'm on my phone hosting a podcast, and he's Brandon Staley. He's the head coach of the Chargers, right? Guess what? I'm going to critique you. What do I mean by no feel of the game? Not that he's ultra conservative, not that he's ultra aggressive, but I've watched a couple Chargers games this year on primetime, whatever the case may be. And I mean, you have 4th and 1, let's say, on the opponent's 28, and he'll pull Justin Herbert off the field and kick a field goal when all the momentum says to go for it. But then he'll have a 4th and 6 at the 40 when they're, down 6, and he'll go for it. No, can't read the room, can't feel the momentum, has no feel for the game at all. And like I said, big balls Doug, dude. Like that's what it comes down to tonight for me. And also keep an eye on the quarterback play tonight, because while we both agree that Justin Herbert is above Trevor Lawrence, I think Trevor Lawrence takes care of the football tonight, and I'm not sure that Justin Herbert doesn't throw a pick or two tonight.
Yeah, and it's a funny point as well, because you can take this back to college and you can talk about Trevor Lawrence versus Justin Herbert, and you can say Trevor Lawrence knows what it's like to win in big games, right? He's been in the big moments. He's won a national championship. Like has Trevor Lawrence won a Heisman? I can't remember, honestly. I don't remember him. I don't remember ever seeing him.
Me too. I want to say no.
He didn't, right? But he was definitely of that caliber in college. But
I could be wrong.
Nonetheless, I didn't want to throw out a false fact out there. That's why I asked. So, but nonetheless, he's been in the big stage. He's won big games, and that begs the question, right? Can he win the big game over Justin Herbert? I think he can, and I think part of it, is taking a little bit of weight off of Trevor Lawrence as well, right? Giving the ball to Etienne, who has kind of taken off, and not kind of, he's taken off this season, and he's turned into a hell of a stud. I think that's the other side of Brandon Staley as well, right? Like Doug Peterson will not put it all in Trevor Lawrence's hands. He'll help Trevor Lawrence. Brandon Staley, we've seen it all season, man. Even when Justin Herbert had cracked ribs, he had him out there throwing the ball 50 times. Like, come on. I mean, you're not helping your quarterback in that situation. So you have Austin Eckler. I'm not saying that they don't have the option there to run the football. They just don't do it. Every single game we watch Justin Herbert go out there and throw the ball 45 times, and I just don't see how you're helping your quarterback in that sense. It turns into like this dump off game, right? That's the boring stuff you're talking about with Justin Herbert in that offense.
Oh, they don't run the ball at all.
And they don't run the ball, and they don't stop the run.
No,
they don't stop the run. That's probably the biggest thing here. You look back, week 3, I think it was. Yeah, week 3. Jacksonville beat the LA Chargers 38-10. They ran them off the field. Now, mind you, Justin Herbert was injured. I don't think there was any Keenan Allen in that game. But nonetheless, I'm with you. I like the Jags. I've kind of talked myself. You've talked me into it. I've talked myself into it. And kind of just going over this game. I really like the Jags tonight. And I like the money line. I know we have a best bet here where it's going to be the points, right? We're going to get into the points, which Jags plus 2.5. Obviously, you can smash that. That's going to go in our best bet slip for this game. That's at minus 105. You can go and smash that money line for the plus money if you're feeling froggy, because that's honestly what I've hyped it up so much now, Dylan. That's what I'm going to go deal. That's what I'm going to go do. But nonetheless, Jags points plus 2.5 at minus 105. That's going to be a best bet. We've already talked about why we think the Jags are winning tonight. Trust Dougie P, pushing Peterson, right? Austin Eckler over 38.5 receiving yards. That's key here. Minus 130. We said the Chargers don't run the ball, but they'd love to pass to their running back. Make that make sense. But nonetheless, Jags. Yeah, go ahead. You had the stat on it. Yeah,
they're very iffy against pass versus opposing running backs. I believe it was seven of their last 8 or 8 of their last 9. They have given up over 38 yards to opposing running backs through the air. So
love that.
You look at a guy like Austin Eckler, he might catch 8 balls tonight.
Like we just started dump off. They play a boring game, right? But Austin Eckler is a special talent. We can agree there. And then the final leg of our best bets. So we got 3 for each game here today. ETN. We talked about Travis Etienne. Longest run of the day, over 17.5 yards. So all we need is him to break off a 20-yard run, an 18-yard run, whatever you want. That is at minus 122. The reason we laid that, the LA Chargers defense has 72 plays of 20 yards or more. That's third worst in the NFL. Third most given up, I guess I should say, as far as defenses. So Austin Eckler, do your thing today. Travis Etienne, do your thing today. He breaks big ones anyways against good defenses. I see him breaking a big one against the Chargers today. And you could even lay the anytime touchdown as well. I like all the Travis Etienne props. But nonetheless, we're going to go with the longest run of the day, over 17.5 yards for Travis Etienne. So Eckler over 38.5 receiving yards at minus 130. Jags points, so plus 2.5 Jags at minus 105. And then Travis Etienne, longest run, over 17.5 at minus 122. Best bets of the day for Jags Chargers. That may end up being the best game of the weekend. Monday night, I think that's going to be a really good game, but this may end up the best game of the weekend. I'm trying to think to tomorrow's slate. Minnesota and New York. There's some steam catching up on that Minnesota and New York game. Yeah,
I'm excited to talk about that one in a second. I believe the 1 p.m. is Buffalo and Miami, correct? Obviously, I'd love to look it up. Can't because I'm on my phone. I'm all out of sorts over here, Scotty. But Buffalo, Miami, listen, man, we're going to get into these 3 games. I really don't have much to say about this game. And it's for the simple fact that Miami might be rolling out they are rolling out a third-string quarterback.
Yeah.
You're talking about a team that almost seems destined to make it to the Super Bowl this year. MVP candidate quarterback, stud wide receiver, great defense on the road. If Tua was playing, this game would be much more competitive. This is my lock of wild card weekend, Scotty. The Buffalo Bills over the Miami Dolphins. I think they're going to cover the 10.5, whatever. I believe they do.
I had 13.5.
It might be higher. I still think they cover. Scotty, there's no way this game stays competitive. Unless Josh Allen comes out and turns the ball over. But me and you, even with a healthy Tua, what did you come on here and rant about? Miami's fraudulent defense, right? They go out, they trade for Bradley Chubb, they extend him. It didn't do much. So that defense that was already the weak link of their team is not going to be able to stop Josh Allen in Buffalo this weekend, let alone be able to score enough to keep up with them. What is it, Skylar Thompson?
Yeah.
Maybe Miami squeaks out 17. That's being generous. Like 17, I think, is being ultra generous.
Yeah.
I think Buffalo, it's not really
scored,
competitive.
I mean, what the thing about it is we watched the Dolphins last week against the Jets, right, with Skylar Thompson, and we saw that shit show. Like, it was 11. The score was 11-7 in a game where you can clinch a playoff spot. So, like, you were only able to put up 11 points.
Must
now,
win.
Jets have
Jets
have a really good defense, right? And maybe it's to the caliber of the Bills. Maybe it's better. Maybe it's a little bit worse. Whatever the case may be. Do you believe in Skylar Thompson? I just don't. If it was Teddy Bridgewater, maybe they cover. If it's Teddy Bridgewater, maybe.
Probably
right?
Still not.
They don't run the football, so that's kind of something that wasn't talked about a lot early on in the year because you were just able to air it out with Tua and Hill and Waddle. Now things slow down. You're in the grind time, right, where things get gritty, and the Dolphins, they just don't seem like they're built for it, right? They look so good early on, man. And a lot of it is Tua, the injuries, right? But it's kind of lost all the juice in this matchup, right? It just doesn't even feel right. And then you can even take it a step further, man. Not only do you not have your starting quarterback, your star quarterback that has played, he played at an MVP level this season, like when he has played, for the most part. You don't have your quarterback, but also you're playing the most inspired team in the NFL, like the Buffalo Bills, who just had to bring a man back to life on the field, and they're playing inspired for one of their brothers right now. So, like, not only do you have to go into this battle a man down, like a significant leader down, you also have to go into this battle against a team that some will say is destined, right? Like, that's what we're fighting against. And that's honestly, man, that's my biggest fear for the Eagles, like getting to the Super Bowl and playing this team of destiny right now. Like, it feels weird, and Buffalo has this what would you call it? I guess a narrative to follow, and that's what's scary. A team with a motive, right?
And not to mention, you're talking on the road in front of, and as a Philly fan, I say this, in front of maybe the craziest fan base, craziest crowd out there. That's even more inspired. That they don't have a Super Bowl.
Exactly.
So I just see no way Miami's able to keep this game competitive. Buffalo is my lock of the week, and I really don't.
And we didn't even talk about weather. You know what I mean? It's freezing cold too.
Yeah, right. They didn't want to be there last time. Now, and that was too. Like, I don't think Skylar Thompson wants to be there. So, I agree.
Man.
So Buffalo in this one, easy lock. Moving on, we have the Giants in Minnesota, 6-3 in the NFC. I'll let you go first, man. I'm interested to see where you go here. I'm actually really intrigued about this matchup.
This one's interesting, and this is another one. As the week has gone on, it feels like everybody's picking this, and maybe it's made me think about it a lot. But I am going to go with my upset of the week in this game. I'm going to go with the Giants in this one. Minnesota is a 3-point favorite at home. I will say I don't like the way I wouldn't throw my money on the Giants at this point. At the beginning of the week, I would have. At this point, I would not, because there's just too much expectations for them to beat the Vikings. It's almost as if this upset of the week, this is my upset of the week.
It's almost as if
this is not an upset anymore. Right. Exactly. It's like it's expected. So now you get a Minnesota Vikings team with a chip on its shoulder that's been counted out, 13-win team going against a 9-win team in the Giants at home. The only thing with Minnesota, the reason I feel this way, one, I think Minnesota is soft. I think they can get outplayed physically. Like, the Giants can come in and run the ball down their throat, and if it's bad early for the Vikings, there might not be a way to stop it. Like, that's my worry with the Vikings. The other side of it, it doesn't seem like they have like a home field advantage. Like, anytime they've gotten the doors blown off of them in Minnesota by the Cowboys, right? Like, it just doesn't feel like they have that home field advantage that you would generally get for a 2 or a 3 seed that gets that home field advantage in the playoffs. And then the other side of it is the negative point differential. How are you a 13-win team, but negative 3 points on the season? That just doesn't even make sense. But as I've said all season, I'm so in between on the Vikings is like frauds or not. Because those situations they played the most like 8-point games or within 8 points or something, one possession games, right? And
Right.
and
I
one
think
of
it's
those games
eight.
came out on the
Yeah,
right side.
8 games within one possession.
8 games within one possession,
Kirk,
and they've
yeah,
won those
and
games, right?
yeah,
So
and Kirk Cousins
that's
leads the league in game-winning drives or fourth quarter comebacks.
so that's the other side of things where we talked about Brock Purdy in San Francisco earlier. Brock Purdy hasn't faced adversity. The Vikings have seen every type of
Right,
adversity this
right.
season, right? So that's
Largest comeback in NFL history.
exactly. So there's two sides to that conversation. Like, yes, their negative 3-point differential. They played a lot of games close this season. They've
Right,
gotten blown
and
out a couple times. But then the other side of that is, yeah, they've been in close situations. They know how to win games. So I don't know. I've lost my like upset juice in this one, Dylan,
that's
because
exactly. There is no
everybody's
juice to
leaning
this.
towards it.
Yeah,
But I'm still gonna ride with my feeling, my gut feeling, in the Giants beating them. I told you a couple weeks ago when they squared off in Minnesota that I've had a feeling I didn't pick the Giants in that game, but I had a
right.
feeling it was going to be played close because let's be honest, the Giants, they run the football. That's what they do. It's not like some heavy passing attack, but they were able to pass the ball against the Minnesota Vikings in that game. Daniel Jones threw for over 300 passing yards in that game against Minnesota. It's going to be interesting. That's what I'm going to say. I am going to go with the Giants in the upset here, but how are you feeling about this game? What are you thinking?
There's so much to unpack here, and the first couple words out of your mouth was exactly my thoughts on this game. There is way too many people
Yeah,
comfortable with this Giants upset out. Like I'm
yeah,
it's no longer an upset at this point, right? And
yeah,
our buddy Mark in DSM, he sent his picks in. He's got the Giants. People on TV picking the Giants. Like it's yes, they're 3-point underdogs. It's no longer an upset at this point.
yeah,
Are the Giants well coached? Absolutely. Brian Dable is in the coach of the year talks, right?
yeah,
Has Daniel Jones exceeded expectations this year? Yes. Saquon Barkley looks back. Yes. Is Minnesota soft defensively?
yeah,
Is Minnesota fraudulent? Yes. Not that fraudulent. I don't
yeah.
think they're
That's
one
fair.
and done at home to the New York Giants fraudulent. At the end of the day, as long as Kirk Cousins doesn't put them in a hole to start, as long as he doesn't
Yeah,
come out and get strip sacked or throw a pick six and they're down 13, 14, nothing from the jump, as long as something like that doesn't happen, I think the explosiveness of Minnesota offensively is too much for the Giants to keep up
yeah,
with. The Giants fought through adversity on Christmas Eve, like you mentioned. Minnesota was up 14 or 13 late in that game. Giants
yeah.
fight back. Saquon scores. Minnesota kicks a game-winning field goal. We know how that one ended. That was almost like their best punch. That was their knockout punch, and it wasn't enough to get the
I
job
can
done.
see that perspective. Yeah,
I don't think a few weeks later things are going to change in Minnesota again. As bad or as fraudulent as we view Kirk Cousins, and you watch him in that Green Bay game 2 weeks ago, and he's freaking horrendous, right? They get their doors blown off in large part due to him to start that game.
yeah,
He's had a very good season, a
yeah,
very, very good season. So I do think that they're fraudulent, but I do think way too many people try to discredit them early.
yeah,
I don't dislike your upset pick. If you're looking across the board this week, it's probably, but there's a reason it's high on the upset list.
yeah,
Everyone's doing it.
yeah,
I don't like when the public's that on my pick. So I
yeah.
agree with you.
I
I
feel
would
that.
not throw the money on the Giants, and I wouldn't
Yeah,
throw it on them to cover because if Minnesota, they're either going to win outright or Minnesota's going to win by maybe two. Like
exactly,
this is not going to be a 2-point game,
exactly.
in my opinion.
I'm with you there. I'm with you there because the thing about the Giants in this game, they have to keep this game in the basement, right? At the bottom, at the floor. Because if these teams get
the Giants aren't
ceiling,
scoring 35.
The Vikings ceiling is up here compared to the Giants, right? So that's the biggest point there. They have to not allow this game to, it can't be a shootout, right? Because the Giants just can't participate in that. So it will be interesting to see how this one plays out. This is one of the better games, right? But I do agree with you. Just when everybody is, kind of leaning that way, it feels a little weird, right? Even with especially with the Giants.
We talked about it on Monday. We said like what early games are you looking at as a potential upset? And I think this was the first one to come to mind. But like It makes you no longer feel good about your pick. Like, oh, like you think you're ahead of the kid. I like the Giants sneakily in this one. The next thing you know, social media and TV is blowing up with this Giants pick, and it's like, I don't, no. Fade the public, dude. So I'm with you.
Do you think the public perception is just more about the Vikings being frauds than the Giants actually being good? Like that's kind of where I'm at, right? It's not about it. It's not that the Giants will win this game in my mind. It's that the Vikings would lose this game in my mind. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. So I do feel
Scotty,
what you're saying.
I'd have to go back and look, but like, who did the Giants beat this year? Who'd they beat? They went 0-2 against us. They went 0-2 against the Cowboys. They lost to Minnesota when they played. Yes, they beat Green Bay. Green Bay didn't make the playoffs. Congratulations. There's no – I can't think of a playoff team that they beat this year.
Their signature win at the beginning of the season was like the Titans. They beat the Ravens.
They beat
the Ravens. They beat the Jags. They beat the Packers. Lost to the Lions, lost to the Cowboys twice, tied with the Commanders, beat to the Commanders, lost to the Eagles twice, lost to the Vikings. So I don't know. It depends where where you would weigh like that Ravens win. That was with Lamar Jackson on the field too.
It was.
So I mean that's a good W.
That's their best
win. Healthy Titans, right? Yeah, the Ravens is the best win, nonetheless.
But yeah, I don't know where this perception of they're all of a sudden a good team.
Kyle thinks the same thing. He thinks the Giants beat the Vikings.
Man,
I get it, man. It's trendy right now.
In the back of Scott,
I hate being trendy.
Like, no, yeah.
I hate being trendy, yeah, because things never go the trend's way, right? Nonetheless, let's move to the Sunday night matchup. Baltimore at Cincinnati. No Lamar Jackson in this game. How are you feeling? Where are you at in this game, man? Because this is one of those things. It's kind of what we talked about at the beginning. It's just like, the Ravens and the Bengals, right? You know what I mean? Like, it would be a great matchup if it was Lamar versus Joe Shiesty, but it's what? Tyler Huntley, maybe.
Tyler Huntley.
Maybe.
How do I feel about this one? Dog water. I feel almost as strongly about this one as I do about the Bills Dolphins matchup. I don't think this one's close. Tyler Huntley does not have the firepower. Like, even with Lamar, what do we always question about Baltimore? Their skill position players, their offense. It's him. Like, he's we talk Jalen Hurts versus the system. Lamar's the system in Baltimore. He's what's special about Baltimore at times. Nothing. You're talking about going up on the road against maybe the team with the most firepower offensively, with that trio of wide receivers, with Hayden Hurst, with Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine, with Joe Burrow in the MVP conversation, with that defense that's playing at an extremely high level right now.
Yeah.
The Bengals are going to cover in this game. So I'll wrap up the show by kind of saying this and throwing it to you. My locks, I feel so strong. All of these games I view as a cover. I view the Bills as a cover. I view the Niners as a cover. I view the Bengals as a cover. But then the upsets, I think, the underdogs that I view as upsets, I think go outright. If that makes sense. I view the Jags as an outright.
They're going to win.
I think the Vikings cover. Yeah, I think the Vikings cover, but if they don't, I think the Giants win.
Giants just win. Yeah.
Right.
I'm with you. And looking at I'll just keep it short and simple with this game because I think you covered it pretty well. No Lamar Jackson, no weapons on the outside, just Mark Andrews. I mean, what are you going to do? How are you going to score points against this opportunity?
Mark Andrews hasn't been a factor in 8 weeks.
Yeah, he's been a non-factor, and you know that from fantasy perspective firsthand. So, I'm with you, and I think that the Bengals cover this one as well. I think it was like a 9.5 point spread somewhere in there. It's actually my lock of the week. So I know you went Buffalo over Miami. My lock of the week is Cincinnati over Baltimore. So we're going 2 division rival games for the locks of the week here. I just think Cincinnati has too much, and they're also playing with a chip on their shoulder. Like, they got the short end of the stick out of that Buffalo and Cincinnati situation on Monday Night Football. The game gets canceled, and now, they just didn't have a chance at the 1 seed, right? They didn't have a chance at home field advantage throughout the playoffs. So I think they're playing with a chip on their shoulder. I would go even a little bit further, man. I think the Cincinnati Bengals might make it back to the Super Bowl. Maybe this is where we end the show, though. I know we didn't talk about it before. Do you think obviously our Super Bowl picks have changed because I believe we both had I can't remember. Did I have the Rams in the Super Bowl?
I had the Rams. I had the Battle of Los Angeles. I had the Rams Chargers as
Rams
my out
and
of the
Chargers.
box. I tried to go out of the box. It didn't work out too well.
I'm trying to think back. Who did I go with? I might have went with
I think you went Rams, but you might have went
to
Chiefs
win.
Rams.
Chiefs Rams. I think I went Chiefs Rams. Chiefs still could, and maybe it is time for Patrick Mahomes to beat Joe Burrow and that Bengals team in the playoffs. Third time's well, no, it'd be the fourth time. Excuse me. So
right,
maybe it is time for the Chiefs to beat them. But weird feeling again. This Bengals team, they just play. They turn it on at the right time, right? They had the same feeling at the end of the season or at the end of the regular season last season. So I don't know, man. Who would you pick if you had to pick? Maybe you don't want to do your picks yet. I don't know.
I'll give you my picks for the Super Bowl. I'm
maybe start NFC Championship, AFC Championship, and then go to Super Bowl.
NFC Championship. I'm going to go with chalk here. I'm going to go with the Eagles, San Francisco. I think that
we need that matchup.
Eagles, yeah, I think that the Eagles, obviously, you need one win to get to the NFC Championship. You could be looking at anywhere from the Giants to the Cowboys to the Bucs. So I like them to win the first game at home. That's all you need to get there. San Fran, I think that defense is good enough to carry them 2 games, but I think the road ends there for Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant on the road at the Link. I think that becomes too much. So I like Niners, Eagles, chalk in the NFC. Never really goes that way, but we'll see. We'll give it a shot. Yeah. And the Eagles to advance. Maybe I'm being a homer, but they're so damn good, dude.
They're so good, man.
And in the AFC, Scotty, I think I agree with you. There's so many angles to look at. You have Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs basically as this underrated underdog 1 seed, right? Like they are the number 1 seed. You do have to go in the Arrowhead and win.
Right.
But I think of the 3, they're the least talented team. And then you have the team of almost destiny, it feels like, with the DeMar Hamlin situation, the Buffalo Bills. But all around, I think the Bengals are the best team. I'm going Bengals-Eagles in the Super Bowl. In the AFC Championship, though, I will say Bengals-Bills. And I think you get your answer as to who would have won that Monday Night Football game.
Interesting. So I'm thinking here, Bengals-Bills. Those are the I hate to say that outright. Those are the 2 best teams in the AFC. I hate to say that, outright because I
don't need to give Patty any ammunition. I don't need to give them any ammunition.
That's tough, man. Because I'm thinking so. Kansas City will get the lowest seed that would win today, so that will most likely be Jacksonville or LA. So LA Chargers or Jacksonville Jaguars. If the we both have Buffalo and Cincinnati winning, so they might actually play each other next round. So next week.
True. I didn't think about that.
So Kansas City, that 1 seed is
way to throw the bracket right in my face. I went with the 2.
I know you don't have it viewable. I know this question wasn't on the slate, bro. Like there's no worries either way.
I'll go with the AFC Championship rematch. I'll go with the Bengals and the Chiefs in Arrowhead. Which because then I don't know how Patty loses to them again
4 times, right?
You just threw a wrench in my entire Super Bowl pick, okay? Because now I'm backtracking. I'm like, I don't like the Bengals road that much anymore.
Because you needed the Bills to beat the Chiefs, right? Like you need them to take care of that one. Yeah, I feel you.
I just don't know how Patty loses 4 times in a row to this team at home after he did it last year. You know what? Screw it. Chiefs, Eagles. People are underrating and undervaluing Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. The road goes through the Link. The road goes through Arrowhead, and they collide in Arizona this year.
I honestly, I'm not even joking, Dylan. I do agree with you. Now, obviously, it'll be – I do believe the Eagles will be in the NFC Championship. I do think San Fran with Brock Purdy is good enough to get there. I do think the road ends there for them. So I'm with you there. On the other side, it's so hard to pick between those 3 teams. Obviously,
it really is, man.
It is bracket based. Like the Chiefs are getting to the AFC Championship. We can start there. They will meet whoever in the AFC Championship. I would say the Bills have a better chance of beating the Chiefs in the AFC Championship than the Bengals.
I agree.
So if the Bengals do make, as much as I want to pick the Bengals to go to the Super Bowl back to back, I think the Chiefs might actually get there. They just have the easier road, honestly, and they get to play at home. Now, if they play Buffalo, I say Buffalo has a better chance. They play on a neutral field, so that's kind of a key
Ready?
there, right?
I'll throw this one at you. I'm going to stick with my pick, Eagles Chiefs. That is because I think Bengals beat Buffalo in the next round, and then the Chiefs will beat the Bengals. If Buffalo beats Cincinnati in the divisional round,
they're going to the Super Bowl.
Gets to the Super Bowl. Yep.
I like it. I actually agree with you in that as well, honestly. I do think the Bengals take care of business against Buffalo. I think they have some unfinished business there. Obviously, nothing. I'm not saying anything about DeMar Hamlin, right? Like it's unfinished business. They didn't get a chance to play Buffalo and prove that they're the best team in the AFC in the regular season. I think they kind of get that opportunity. They take full advantage of it.
I'll say this to wrap up the show.
Yeah.
We talked about destiny and inspired. And obviously when you're talking life or death and what happened on that field, Buffalo takes the cake in terms of being ready and motivated, right?
Yeah.
Cincinnati is a peg below in motivation because I don't know how much you heard or read into the situation in canceling that game and suspending that game. Cincinnati's pissed. And it's hard to come out, again, when you're talking about a human being's life and in the way that it unfolded on national television, right? But Cincinnati had the mindset of postponing the game that night and playing the next day. Buffalo packed up their bags and left. Right. Like, I understand. I understand that. But then Cincinnati's rightfully pissed off in terms of football because now they got the short end of the stick. So I know we're thinking if they meet up, like Buffalo's just Cincinnati, again, it's not the life or death situation. We're talking about a sport, but I think Cincinnati is very motivated as well to get Buffalo again.
I fully agree. If you talk about motivation, Cincinnati, they were the only team, the owners, right, to vote against the way they set up the playoffs, right? Canceling that game. They were the only ones to vote against it. They're rightfully pissed. And like you said, there's
I'm
no
not trying
easy,
to be insensitive at all.
No, there's no easy way to talk about the DeMar Hamlin situation because that is a person that's a human being that lost their life on the field and got it back, right? But on the other side of things, there is a business on the other side. So like, there's just no easy middle ground way of talking about it. It is kind of just what it is, right? Like that just is what it is. We obviously are happy that DeMar Hamlin is up, able, and getting better. But nonetheless, Cincinnati Bengals got kind of screwed in a situation, right? Where I agree. I thought they were going to play the next day, honestly. And when I heard that Buffalo flied out, I thought that was wild. But
it's so
I get it. I get it. Can't say what I would do, right?
Right. They shouldn't have. They didn't, and they were never going to resume that night.
Right.
It's hard to say, okay, I'll see you in 24 hours, still not knowing as his teammate, friend, brother, what's going on because he was not out of it yet.
Yeah.
He was not clear yet.
Like so if you were stopping the game that night, it's the same thing the next day. It's not like anything changed.
But from the Cincinnati had agreed to stop that game, rightfully so, with the idea that they were going to resume the next night from the business end and the seating end. Now they're pissed off. Now, I'm not saying they have the same type of motivation, but they are motivated as well if they meet in the divisional round.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm right there with you. But yeah, man, there's no easy way to talk about it because there's a lot of different things that have gone into this DeMar Hamlin situation. And it's kind of not. I don't want to say that either. It's not that it's not about DeMar Hamlin. It is about DeMar Hamlin. Obviously, it's about his health and safety, but it's just kind of hypocritical the way the NFL has been acting in a sense. That's kind of where I'm at with the NFL. They act like they're so into player safety, but you see these guys out there with metal helmets to clang against each other. Like, that's where I'm at with the NFL. Like, but fine. Like, I get it. It's DeMar Hamlin, and I'm nonetheless happy that he is up, healthy, and obviously able to talk to his family and do normal things, right? Be at home. So good for that's honestly good for him. And Cheers, man. NFL playoffs are here. I know we've kind of shit on the playoffs today, I feel like.
Yeah.
We got the twisted teas, the mimosas going. We're feeling right, but hopefully they surprise us today. Maybe we get some good matchups today. Likely we didn't lay any spreads best bets, right? Aside from the Jags. We had the Jags
just
winning.
the Jags to cover, but I do like them outright.
Aside from that, I mean, we didn't lay any spreads. So hopefully we get some good action today, starting with this Seahawks 49ers game. Maybe the weather helps the Seahawks somehow. I have no clue how it would. But maybe it does. What do you got planned for today? How are you enjoying the NFL playoffs, my man?
Well, my man Steve from Fist First is, I think he's actually in my house at the moment. I don't know because I've been up here.
Don't know yet. You got your phone.
Over, and I'm going to drink until I don't remember my name. No, I'm kidding. But we're going to have a day. Hopefully, make some money. I have the over in the Tennessee-Kentucky game on at the moment, so I don't know what that score is. I'll be surprised when I go downstairs one way or the other. Hopefully,
hopefully a good surprise, man.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, man. No, how about yourself?
Just mimosas. I'm gonna, like yourself, drink. Plentiful, but nonetheless, just having a good time with family. Maybe go out tonight, have some drinks as well for the game, but we'll be back Monday nonetheless.
Yes, sir.
We'll be back strong and ready. Maybe not so hungover as we were today, but
I hope not. At 5 p.m. on a Monday, I hope not.
Right. I hope I'm a little bit better, but that'll be a hell of a matchup to talk about, the Cowboys and the Bucks. Maybe not maybe it is probably it is the most exciting matchup of the weekend. So can't wait to break that down with you nonetheless, guys. But be sure to tune in to NFL Turf Talk right here on DSM Media, 5 p.m. Monday evening. We'll get you set for the Monday night matchup. We'll get you best bets. Obviously give you predictions. I'll put it out there. I think we're going the Bucks in this game. We're hoping for the Bucks for sure.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler. We're going with the GOAT, but we can definitely discuss it, break it down. We'll look at what all these teams have done over the weekend. We'll obviously recap the weekend and then get into that Monday Night Football matchup. But guys, make sure subscribe to DSM Media. You'll be notified. Turn those notifications on and get involved with the shows. Obviously, we had some comments coming in today. Dylan couldn't see them because he's in a little bit of a tough situation, but nonetheless, we appreciate the comments. Terry, I'm glad you got to catch the end of the show. We talked Niners at the beginning. We gave y'all some praise, Terry. So we got you. No, we did not talk shit on the Niners, Terry.
The Niners are
we don't shit on the Niners. We shit on Brock Purdy. That is it. That is not – we know the Niners are a good team. We actually have the Niners. Both of us have the Niners meeting up with the Eagles in the NFC Championship, losing to the Eagles in Philly.
Then I'll be talking
nonetheless,
shit,
making it. Yes, we will be talking shit then, Terry. But until then, we got you. You're going to take care of business at home against the Seahawks today. No worries, Terry. I hope you have a great day as well. Guys, thank you for tuning in. That's going to be it for this show. Thank you, Dylan, for showing up and being here with me, partner. I've had a hell of a time. I'm ready to kick off the NFL playoffs. We still got 4 hours or 3 hours left until they actually do kick off.
Got a while.
But nonetheless, guys, have a great Saturday. Have a great Sunday. Obviously, enjoy the NFL playoffs. It has been a pleasure. Be sure to tune in Monday night, 5 p.m. Eastern time on DSM Media's YouTube channel. We will be live breaking down that Cowboys-Bucks game. Everybody enjoy. Go Birds, even though it's the bye week. Peace, everybody.
One-on-one. Love it.